Nadia Casales, we have you here finally at the Rosen Injury Law Studio to talk all about your business because I'm really excited to have you here. Tell us a little your name and tell us what your business is and a thumbnail sketch of what you do.
So, number one, thank you for having me here. I've seen the room and seen the video, so I'm super excited to be here. So I'm Nadia Casales with Casales Consulting, and I've been in the industry for, oh my gosh, almost 7 years now, and it's always been like a little dream of mine to have my own network of providers. I just feel like the industry has a flood of marketing companies, but what I think makes mine a little different is I didn't want to just focus on just getting providers cases or getting attorneys cases. I didn't want that to be the focus. I really wanted it to be like a concierge type company. I heard what attorneys would say when I worked for other companies and their complaints about, the disconnect or not being able to get information, or a marketer giving a case or helping place a case or helping place a client and then just kind of forgetting about everything else. And I kind of wanted to make sure that if I helped a client get placed somewhere, I watched it from beginning to end. So I give clients my phone number all the time. I take calls. I help them with questions they may have because, the attorneys and the providers are sometimes a bit busy. And so I'll talk to them and explain to them little things and the process of what's happening and why they have to go here and why they got to do an MRI and all those little steps. And then just also making sure that we're in places that nobody thinks of. So not just worried about Miami, Florida, but worried about Loxahatchee, Florida.
Or Port St. Lucie or wherever.
St. Lucie, exactly. So that's the big push for Casales Consulting is I want to be the person that you can call when you don't want to turn to Google and just trust a Google review.
So, Casales Consulting and your new business, when I think of you, it's so different. So for the people that are watching, okay, what you do is if someone's injured, right, you have contacts and you work with doctors throughout Florida. And so if a lawyer says, hey, I got this person who's just badly injured in this accident in whatever county or whatever part of the state, they can contact you and you have a network of doctors that you've vetted.
That's exactly it. I vet them and I'm tough.
Yeah.
I'm tough. Our industry is, it's all about your reputation. I use that word a lot. Your reputation is everything. And that's in every part of aspect of life. We have to work together and we have to always do what's best for the injured person, and I know you preach that heavy. I've heard stories, you've told me stories of things that you've done for clients that, it's really about the injured person, educating them, getting them better and getting what they deserve. So, sometimes we have people who sort of lose sight of that. And those that they've been burned in the past, so they don't want to get burned by the next person. So I do try to vet the providers and make sure that they understand that the cases that I'm bringing them are with attorneys that I trust and that I know and that I have relationships with. So if I trust them, you got to trust them too. So it's a give and take.
And it's interesting, Sam. I want to talk a little bit about this, but your background. You've been in the industry, you said, for about 7 years now. And it seems like you know so much about personal injury cases, about what happens in the process, and especially from the patient care side of things. You worked with a chiropractic clinic for a very long time, so you know the ins and outs.
Yep. So I actually started with an ortho group first. I was my mom's assistant. My mom's in the industry as well with a neurosurgery group, ortho group. But I always I've always thought it's important to educate myself on what you're doing. So I didn't just want to work for a chiropractic group and that be it. I wanted to understand, okay, the patient goes for chiropractic and then has to go for MRI. Explain to me how that works. So I befriended my best friend who's an MRI in the industry for an MRI group, and I wanted to understand how that worked. And then the same thing with ortho. I wanted to understand if I were a client or if I was an injured person, like what are these steps and why are these steps important? So that's really what I've done for the last 7 years, is just try to understand every aspect of it from beginning to end so that I can answer those questions. I'm not an attorney, but I can understand it from an attorney's point of view, a provider's point of view, and then for the client as well. So,
I came from a big personal injury law firm here in South Florida. I was a trial lawyer, litigator, and really just exclusively handled catastrophic injury and wrongful death cases. And when I left and I opened up my own firm, I had to learn a little bit more about finding providers for my clients, helping my clients find a doctor. Because the cases that I had been working on, this person is just badly mangled. They're in the hospital. The doctor's going to, transfer them to whatever orthopedic care or extensive care after they leave the hospital. And then there'd be follow-ups with other providers that were really kind of taken care of by the hospital, by the health insurance. And I always, I never had the opportunity. And I think when we first met, I was like, you've seen, I don't show up to a lot of different events. I don't do anything. I'm not involved in a lot of the personal injury stuff. But I always had this skepticism of me as the lawyer originally, just because of the way that I was, the kind of pedigree that I came up was like, it's not my job to help the client find the doctor. And then when I opened up my own business and expanded, taking other types of cases, not just catastrophic and wrongful death, I realized that's such a critical role of the lawyer to help the client find the right doctor. I mean, most people, they don't know an orthopedic doctor. They don't know a chiropractor. They don't know a physical therapist. They don't know an MRI facility that's going to take care of them, do a good job, provide exceptional service.
Yeah, it's definitely, so many people are so uneducated on what to do when they're in an accident. Even if they've been in an accident, if they didn't maybe get the best attorney for their case or the best providers for their case to really educate them, because that's my most important thing. Yes, we want to get them better, and yes, we want to get them, the compensation that they deserve, but educating them for the next time. We live in Florida. How many people don't have insurance, and UM and UIM, and the laws changing and all of these things, and you meet people and the disconnect of just not being educated. So Casales Consulting, yes, I, help place cases, and that's the grand scheme of it. But really, more importantly, the reason why I wanted to start my own company, because it does have its levels of what I want it to do, is I always want to educate people. That's most important to me, because these insurance companies are not educating us. They're not. They don't want us to know. And you guys are super busy. The attorneys, you're busy. You don't have sometimes, and you've got clients, and you've got to take calls and insurance adjusters and all these things that you're doing. Sometimes you don't have that time to sit back and talk to the client and say, this is why we're doing what we're doing. So if I can be that middleman, because that's what my husband says. He's like, you're a middleman. And I don't mind that. If it's 15 minutes out of my day to sit there and talk to Miss Sue, who's 60 years old and terrified of why she has to go see a pain management doctor and why this is important, or why she needs to talk to an orthopedic surgeon, I'll do that, because she's going to think about me the next time. She's going to keep my name in her head of how I can help her in the future. So.
Listen, it's about providing exceptional service. I will say that we at Rosen Injury Law, we do educate as much as possible. And I know it's something that we do take extremely seriously. We want the clients to know the reasons why they're doing X, Y, Z, or whatever it is for their health. All right. The idea is to help them recover physically and ultimately financially for their accident. But you're I guess there's doctors, medical providers that you're working with, and really that is for your business is your ideal client, right? Is that if you're going out to and you want to gather more business for your company, who is it that you're looking to talk to? Is it obviously at the end of the day it would be medical providers?
Yes. So, finding medical providers, again, obviously I live in South Florida, so I started my network here in South Florida because it's home base. But, the attorneys that I work with in South Florida, you can get cases anywhere, and you're able to take a case in the Panhandle, and you're able to take a case in Tampa. So I wanted to not just be, and that's again something that I think sets me aside from what other marketers do. I wanted to go and target those areas in the middle of nowhere. So now I'm in the Panhandle, all throughout the Panhandle. I'm in Jacksonville. Tampa's growing, Orlando's growing, the whole West Coast, the Central Florida, Ocala, Loxahatchee, that whole middle ground area is now my next big target. That Winter Park, those areas where you're not going to get a million cases. And how I learned this is when I worked for the chiropractic group. I was director of business development for almost 4 years with them. They had offices throughout the Tri-County area. So Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. What I'd notice when I'd market is if I marketed in Palm Beach, I would get cases from the Palm Beach attorneys to Miami. And then vice versa. If I'd market Miami, I'd get cases to Broward, Palm Beach. And what I noticed is I'm not targeting the attorneys and saying, hey, if you're working with chiropractor C, I don't want you to work with chiropractor C. I want you to work with my chiropractor that's right next door to chiropractor C. That's not a good sales tactic. Number one, it's a little like, I didn't like the way that felt. So instead I'd say, I don't want to mess with the relationships you have. I just want to be the person that you call when you don't know where to send them. I just want to replace Google and Yelp. I have no competition with any other marketers. I have no competition with providers that are not in my network. I just want to be the person you call when you don't know who to turn to. And instead of going on Google and reading reviews and calling offices and making sure they take personal injury and they're going to be fair to the client, be fair on the case and do the right thing to build that case and tell that story, I'll find them for you.
You know, it's so interesting because you're the company that you've created, and you just in general is you have this marketing background, but like you are almost like in like this marketing department. Like when you sign on or you meet with whatever medical provider, whoever it is that ends up bringing you on to work with you, you become their marketing department. Right. And before I opened up my own law firm, I had literally no marketing background. Like I had to learn that through the pandemic with all the videos and watching YouTube videos on how to make videos and doing Instagram. I appreciate that. But I had to learn, and like I'm learning from you, and it's over time, like just hearing what you're saying, it's about building relationships. You're unique, and I want to talk about this because like where does it come from? But like your business style and your marketing style is extremely unique. It's not just like, let me pay a bunch of money for pay-per-click on Google. It's let me get out there and meet with individual people, build relationships, and then connect different people. Where'd that style come from?
So without mentioning any names, I worked for a law firm for 9 months in between the chiropractic group and the ortho group. And one of the marketers, who is my senior boss, he said something to me that will forever stick in my head. And it was genius. I said, what's the point if you go out and you get all of this business and only a percentage of it is worth anything? Like, what's the point? He said, because we throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. And I just remember being like, it's probably the only thing that like I ever respect that he ever said to me. But it was such a like defining moment, because then I started with my last employment in November 2019. Thankfully, I kind of had a name for myself in the industry and people that wanted to work with me. But, March of 2020 was right around the corner. And just when we started to really get momentum going, the world stopped. And so I was like, what am I going to do with myself? Because the way that my pay structure was, it was really about I had to bring business in to get paid, which is how most of the marketers are set up in our industry. And I was like, okay, so we're back to the drawing board. What am I going to do? So basically I decided in between whatever series everybody was like binge watching at that time, I was like, what if I went on the Florida bar? I'm giving away my secrets. What if I go on the Florida bar and like tab personal injury and see just how many attorneys come up? And I think it was like at that time, 2,204 that's tabbed personal injury. And it's like, well, how do I get this data? How do I get all of these names? And there's no way to download it, just so everybody at home knows, because I tried to call the Florida bar and see if I could get them. Nope. I copied and pasted physically every single name and address and email address and contact information into a spreadsheet. I split it up between the Tri-County areas because that's where my facilities were. And then everything that was the rest of Florida, I put into a different tab, and then I uploaded that all into a CRM software, then into a driving app. And during COVID, I visited all 700 of those offices in the Tri-County area. and dropped off my marketing materials. And I'm sure you have my little laminated, because they won't throw it away if it's laminated. And I drop it off. And at that time, everybody was home. It was such a weird time. That's when I met you during COVID. And we had all of these locations. And so people would take home my stuff and they'd say, oh, great, you've got a location in this place. Like, we're just going to give it to you. And that's how I grew the company. We actually beat our numbers in 2020 from 2019.
That's unbelievable. And during the pandemic.
And then what I did is the rest of Florida, I started sending them mailers and quarterly mailers with like healthy tips to stay fit during the pandemic. And to this day, I still do all of it. And
it's a drive that like, and you know, you're unique, and this is why it's unique. And I think about this just with, I see what you're doing. I see in myself also, like, or I see however that's said. It's like there are some people that are 9 to 5 people, right? There's some people it's you clock in, you clock out. Then there's other people where there's some kind of a drive that you go like above and beyond. It's not like you get up early, you stay up late, and like your phone is never off, and you're always working. And like today, like I'm at the gym this morning, it's 9:00. I'm working, okay? Like I'm literally nonstop thinking about what is the next marketing plan? What are the questions I'm going to ask you during this podcast? What is that kind of mentality? It's not easy to find. Like when you're like, and you probably saw it in your industry, but where does it come from? You know, is it just a natural personality?
I'll attribute it. She's going to be so happy. I'll attribute it to my mom. She's always taught us hard work, and the importance of being able to have it yourself. There's 6 of us. So I'm the oldest of 6, except for the twins because they're only 12. All of my siblings are successful in all areas of life. Like we all do different things, but we're all really hard workers because we watched her work really hard, and I still watch her work hard to this day. So I'm also very competitive. I think that has something to do with it, is the competitive nature, not to become, because I don't think there's competition with other people in the industry, but I'm really competitive with myself. So if I can do what I've done, and I didn't go to school for marketing. I don't have a background in marketing, but I can educate myself. We see people do it every day. And so it is just like the need for more information to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday. And then teaching that also to the providers in my network. So the cool thing about Casales Consulting is we are like our own little like orb of people that we all work together. Like now I've got it to where my providers work with each other. Somebody yesterday texted in the group chat, hey, I need a neurologist for this. And the other one's responding, hey, I can help with that. Let me know what you need. So we've been able to kind of protect ourselves in an industry that's so saturated that we know that we can kind of count on the providers that are involved in Casales Consulting, because even though everybody has their own companies and their own umbrellas, it's still all under the house of Casales Consulting. So it's super cool.
And you know what's funny is some of us we think to ourselves, these are brilliant ideas, right? And they're brilliant, but they're forgotten ideas. These are classic traditional marketing that people don't remember to do anymore. You've built a tribe. You know what I mean? Like when I was, all of a sudden I started getting a bunch of cases. We were running pay-per-click campaigns on Google, and I had someone in-house who I had hired who had no idea what she was doing. Okay. So we were spending a whole bunch of money, and I'm not getting a single car accident. I'm not getting any personal injury cases. I'm getting real estate. I'm getting criminal law. I'm getting people calling for landlord tenant stuff. And I'm like, what's going on here? But I'm all these people. And then I was like, wait a minute. Like I know a bunch of great lawyers who I should be getting these cases to, and that was when the Rosen Injury Lawyer Referral Network started. It was like, wait a minute, like let's build a group of people that I trust. Like, you vet them, you want to make sure that they are good lawyers, they're doing a good job, and we created that, and we get a bunch of lawyers that have joined us. And when cases come in, I know I can send this work comp case here, I could send this real estate case here, criminal law. And it's kind of the same, it's funny, but it's a traditional thing, and it's lost. But you use those traditional marketing strategies to crush it. And it's like, and it's not 9 to 5. It's all the time.
All the time. And I think that like you explained it perfectly. I think we all get so caught up in like the trends. Like, and I'm not saying that, social media and pay-per-clicks and all these things aren't great. It's great, but like there's nothing like door-to-door knocking and like having relationships with people and answering that phone. I mean, I think you called me, on my honeymoon. And I'm like, hey, Eric. And you're like, aren't you on your honeymoon? Like, I didn't expect you to answer. But it's important to like, that you can trust me just like I know that I can trust you. Like, there's got to be trust there. And that sometimes I think gets lost in a sea of everything being like this digital easier. People now want to do emails. I'm going to do email blasts. Like, I delete all of those. Every email's gone, but you get like a little mailer with like my face on it and like, here's my, Christmas rum cake recipe on it. Cause I put that on and I put my recipes on there and I put, and I let them know that like the person that's on that phone, you're not calling, it's me. Like there's a reason it's called Casales Consulting. There's a reason it's called Rosen Injury, right? Like it's our name. So we have to be working 24/7 because it's ours.
Yeah. I got a call last night from actually, it was an expert witness from one of my cases long ago, and he knew someone that was in a bad wreck, and they sent him, referred him over to me. And I was on the phone last night at 9 o'clock. I was on vacation like the night before. I think it was right after New Year's. It was like New Year's Day or whatever. And a call came in, and office is closed. I was on the phone. I was in another part of I was in Hawaii. Okay, so the hours were totally different. I think I was on the phone at 4 a.m. in the morning on the balcony talking to this new client, getting them signed up, getting them what they needed to do, and probably texting you saying, hey, they're probably calling you up, to please help find, someone to get some treatment right away because this person's hurt, And that's the mentality. So I think the medical providers that are out there, whether they're chiropractors or orthopedics or neurosurgeons or whatever.
Dentists, plastic surgeons, because you need all that.
Across the board, right? They need to know that your company, that you are always available, and reliable. And that's something that like I experienced, and it's the only reason why I've worked with you like to this day is because you're just tremendously reliable. And it's not easy to find that person, that mentality, I mean, and now like I didn't foresee you opening your own company. And then all of a sudden it just made sense. You know what I mean? It was like, wait, she left where she was at. And then she just put together this brilliant idea.
Thank you. Yeah. It's, you gotta, it's funny. Someone said to me, oh gosh, you're so lucky. And no, I'm not lucky. I work really hard and I don't work hard. And listen, yes, everybody works because you want to make money but really like I work hard because I want to be proud of what I've done. And I want to provide a really good service to you, to my providers that trust me with their companies' names. I always thank them because they're trusting me to represent their companies. And then I want to be there to help and provide good service to the clients, to those that really need that help. So if I can, do it full circle, then I will. So it's exciting.
A lot of people don't believe it. The idea of, I don't do this for the money, right? I don't do this for the money. When I opened Rosen Injury Law, I took a massive pay cut, got rid of all my benefits. I foregone like a whole 401k like thing that was already, it was literally like there was money that was supposed to be paid years out, to me, and once it vested, if I just stayed for a period of time, and I walked away from all of it. And it was to do something for myself, but also because I have this passion. And I think honestly, like for like at least the younger generation, whatever you're doing, if you're doing it for the money, solely for the money, right? Just to make income, okay? It's never going to work. It's never going to work.
You're going to lose steam because it takes a really long time. It's not an overnight thing. So if you're in it just for the money, then you're just waiting for that, that moment that it's going to be all this money in your pocket. But if you do it because you really love what you do and you believe in what you do, I mean, I think like the sky is the limit. And I'm seeing that with the company now. But I did the same thing. I got rid of the 401k and the health insurance. I was like, health insurance is expensive when you don't have the employer helping. But I really do believe in what I'm doing. And I believe that there's a need for what I do in the industry, because there's a lot of really great marketing companies out there, but I don't want to just be a marketing company. I want to really be like an experience and an extension to the law firms.
It's not easy, and it's never easy to find or know the right marketing company to work with, because there's so many. Marketing has become, it's the hottest thing on earth. Everyone, the marketers are out for money. At the end of the day, they want that account. And I get like just bombarded on LinkedIn by this digital marketing company, this company that's going to sell me search engine optimization, this company that can manage pay-per-click. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I talk to you don't know these people, and I've been burned. I've been burned so bad, and I've spent a lot of money just trying it. You know what I mean? Just testing it, saying, okay, these people say they're only do pay-per-click, and then literally not get a single case after spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's scary. It's a scary world, and it really is about, I think, bringing it back to what you bring it back to, is building relationships and having that tribe of people that you can trust, that you work with, that begin to connect with each other. You know, I think it's fantastic.
Get to the basics. I think it's not, we don't have to always be trying to reinvent the wheel. Like sometimes the wheel is just good enough, you know? Yeah. So that's really all I wanted it to be. Is I wanted it to be simple marketing. And that's kind of what I've told, you know, when I do hire or speak to a prospective new account. I'm not promising you. If I sit here and tell you I can give you 10 cases a month, you should be concerned that
And it's flashy. It's flashy. I get emails every day, 10 leads a month, you know, and it's like, and it's funny because you want to try it. Like, oh my God, I get 10 new car accident cases a month. And I tell you, it's so much of it is snake oil. It's not true. It's not. And at the end of the day, you're going to end up you're going to be burning through a bunch of money. Yeah. I mean, I think one-on-one relationships and then groups and meeting with people and hitting the pavement like you do, you know, showing up to someone's office with a pie or, you know, a cake or some chocolates or whatever, and just sitting down and talking with someone a little bit. You're out there, you know?
Yes. And listen, it's pounding the pavement is exhausting. I mean, it's nice right now because the weather is nice, but when it's the middle of July and you're sweating through like your third shirt of the day because you're pounding the pavement and hitting offices, it's, you know, you want to just find an easier way to do it, but easy doesn't always win the race. You know, life is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and your career is a marathon, not a sprint. So I have to pound the pavement because I want to be in this industry for the next 10 years or 15 years or whatever it is. I'm not looking to just make a bunch of money and get out, and then I've burned people, or I've ruined my reputation, or ruined the people that I'm representing, their reputations. So, you know, slow and steady.
Whatever it is you do, you can't do it for the money, right? You got to do it because you're passionate about it, because you enjoy it, because it's something that makes you feel good. And eventually the money's going to come. If that's the way, like if that's the model you build, ultimately financially, I think you'll be okay, you know? Absolutely. Yeah, so another question I had, if a medical provider reaches out to you, your company, and they say, hey, what are the services that you're going to provide, right? What is it that you do? Do you help train maybe some of their staff in-house? What is it you do? Give me some examples.
So what I've learned is every provider needs something very different from the next. There is no cookie cutter, like one size fits all. I've had one provider who needed they wanted me to help hire their marketing team, which I did, train their staff, go into their office and do like a lunch and learn. They were coming into a new territory, so they wanted to know how to work with attorneys. Broward is very different from Miami. So I'll go in and do luncheons and train their staff, and this is what you guys should be doing. This is what you maybe shouldn't be doing. I also like to do luncheons. So, you know, Eric, we came into your office and meet the staff and have an opportunity to just kind of have that one-on-one conversation, connecting my network with attorneys that maybe they can't get through that door because those attorneys are busy. You can't answer the door and speak to every marketer who comes through here. No, I know. You have to work. You have stuff that you have to do. But if we can allocate certain events or certain hours and make it make sense for everybody, those are great opportunities for the providers to get in front of attorneys that they may not be able to get in front of on their own. So I do that as well. Website development. So I do work with a company that actually did my website, and they do the SEO and all that stuff that I don't understand, but I do trust them. And I actually went to college with the guy who owns the company. So I've watched him build his company, and he's kind of the same as you and me. He doesn't work for the money. He really loves what he does. He's a little nerd, but he loves what he does, and he's super successful. He's not out here price gouging. So I had companies that came to me and said, "Oh, we can do this and we'll give you this fee." But I'm like, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I want to work with people that I trust. I'm super big on loyalty and working with people that like are going to be loyal to the people that I introduce them to. And then of course, obviously the most important thing is providers want cases. End of the day, they've got to keep their lights on. I understand that, but I always tell them this is a growing company. It's one employee. It's just me who does everything. You got to be patient with me. I can't tell you I'm going to be able to give you 10 cases a month, but I'm going to tell you that like you're a part of something bigger, and we're going to grow together, and we're going to be fair to one another. And I hope that you can trust me enough. And thankfully, it's done really well. We launched in October, and we're 80 locations throughout the state of Florida.
That's unbelievable. I mean, that's fantastic. That's like, I'm so happy for you. And it's because of all that hard work and that literally never ending. Like I remember just over the holidays. I mean, all the offices are closed. I reach out to you, you answer the phone. It's like it never, like you don't ever miss the call. You know what I mean? Or if you miss the call, you get right back like immediately. You're on it. And that's like, it's so impossible and rare to find in today's age. And that's why the business is going to continue to thrive no matter what. I mean, I know it.
But you were working. It was New Year's Eve, actually. And it was like, I remember being like, what time is it in Hawaii? Because I was like doing the math because I was in Paris. And I'm like, Eric is up. I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning because of the time difference. And
it's funny because people think of like the lawyer and the partner and whatever. And it's like if I'm not in the office here, it's all I'm constantly doing is working. It's like it doesn't end, and it's like I left my old job so that I would have more time to spend with my family. And I do get to actually spend a lot more time because maybe I'm not in the courtroom as much, or maybe I'm not traveling to wherever where I'm not away from them, but I'm able to work close, to home whenever I'm out, not in the office,
I mean, you go from working 9 to 5 to 24/7, but it's under your own terms, which I think is it's really nice.
For some people, there's nothing wrong with not doing that. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with having the 9 to 5 because there's a lot of security there. There's a lot of benefits that are available. There's a lot of freedom and other things, and there's a major reduction in the stress level. I think. Okay, like when I worked at Kelly Ustall, or at my prior law firm, I had I had my little world. I had a team of people. Everything's taken care of, paid for. All I had to do is go in and win and go try cases. And if you win, you win. You lose, you lose. It's not out of my pocket, right? And that's a nice thing. That's a great thing to have that security. Sometimes, I guess, just for some people like me and you, there's some kind of fire that says, let me try something else and take some risks. Yeah. Take this massive risk, and you did. You took a massive risk, but it was calculated, and it wasn't. It was an intelligent risk. You never want to take risky risks. You know what I mean? Like risk that there's a high probability of losing. You want to take a calculated, intelligent risk, and the probability of succeeding when you analyze it was huge for you.
Yeah, and planning. I think listen. Working a 9 to 5 is, like you said, it's great. It's definitely, everything has its pros and cons. I definitely think that I planned before. I definitely was writing down. I actually just found the papers the other day of like all these ideas I had for like what I would do with my own company. And I read through it and I had a quick giggle and then a few tears of just like, what I thought this company would be and what I wanted to do with it. But it wasn't just I'm quitting my job. and I'm starting my own company. Like, you have to plan. You have to plan and continue to plan and replan, and then you're still never really ready, and then you jump and hopefully you fly.
I didn't plan as much as you planned. I think it's interesting because you brought something up, and now I'm gonna have to go back and look, because I created, probably about a year before I left, a pro and con list, because there was a fire that started. I read this book, and it was like about entrepreneurs and about startups and about like marketing, and something started, like this fire started. And so I was like, maybe it's time. And I put a pro and con list, and I'm going to go find that, because it would be really interesting to look at it and be like, wow, at the end of the day, the decision to launch, right, is a culmination of different things. But it's like all of a sudden, and I always said it was like for me, it's a light switch. It's like all of a sudden, like when I make a decision, and it's like as soon as that light switch goes off, there's no turning back. I'm going. I've jumped. You know what I mean? It's like jumping off the cliff like I did in Hawaii, and had a massive bruise on my arm afterwards. It was pretty fun, but anyway. So how do people get in touch with you? If it's whatever medical provider's office or attorney's office, how do they reach out to you? Get in touch with you?
So my social media is at call_Nadia. So call Nadia is my little handle, because everyone always says call Nadia. Nadia knows someone. So at call.Nadia is my Instagram handle. I think that's really, I think I have TikTok too, but I don't know what my TikTok handle, but Instagram is the best way to reach me. My website is www.nadiaknows.com. It's the website's very interactive, so it actually shows all of my providers there. You can go through and see if, hey, there's a little spot for your network or your group to fill in those gaps where I maybe don't have locations yet. And then, I'm really active on social media on my Instagram. So send me a DM and slide in my DMs, and I'll definitely respond. I promise.
You're a pro at the social media. I had to learn it. I think you were far ahead with this.
Yes, I did get a little help. Before I decided to go real serious, I did, oh my gosh, the TV show Wildin' Out. Yeah, I was on Wildin' Out, and Nick Cannon is a marketing genius. Like, he really taught. I think I learned a lot from him. He taught us how to market with each other and really build up each other to then be able to build up the show. So it was super cool the way he taught us how to do it. So we were all just kind of cross marketing with each other.
Really?
So yeah. My God, I think it might still be on. Really? I think Wildin' Out. Yeah, I did season 8. I did season 10. I did the Travis Scott episode. I was one of the main girls for the Travis Scott, for Tyga, the Diddy Boys. Who else? 2 Chainz.
All right, so I didn't realize that you were a celebrity before you went into the market.
I did music videos and stuff. Yeah, I've done. So that's really why I had a huge social media following, and then I branched off and made the Call Nadia page, so it kept it a little bit more professional with my work page.
You should take that work page and turn it.
I know. Everyone says the same thing. Yeah, a few 100,000. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to kind of trying to push it because of the algorithm. You got to the Instagram algorithm is a pain.
It's a tough one to crack.
It's tough to crack.
And occasionally you get a good, video really pops, and then it's different than TikTok. TikTok really pushes stuff out.
Yes, you're the TikTok king though.
I'm getting better at it.
You are, and I love that.
Definitely not a king, but
no, you've got it. I like that you do. I like that you get in the community. I think that's super cool that you go and talk. I think that's such a smart, I know it's not a marketing tactic, but it kind of can be, it works for marketing because you're really out there in the community. And I'm going to a restaurant for lunch today, and it's I think one of the ones you posted. I was I want to try that place. So I love that you do that. I think it's super cool. And again, you're doing something that's you're in your community.
And I'm having fun. Okay. It's something unique. I mean, there's so many stuffy lawyers out there, and they're, it's something different, but.
No, I love what you do.
Well, I appreciate it. So listen, I'm thrilled that you came. I think that there's a ton of great advice and things about business and entrepreneurship and taking risks and the hard work that it takes to really succeed. And I mean, we've had this is a great conversation. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming. All right.
Super excited. I hope I get to come back. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No, we'll do this. We'll do this again. Okay. We got to think. Think of what we missed. Now we're gonna have to get into this whole the wiling out thing. We're gonna have to talk about that.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's embarrassing, but it's cool to say that I did it. It was a fun part of my 20s. So.
All right. Awesome. Well, listen. Let's hit the ground running for the rest of this week, and then thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Eric, for having me.
That's a wrap.